The sudden silence across the globe was unsettling. Every city, every household, paused in fear as an unexpected broadcast interrupted every channel on Earth. The voice was cold, emotionless, and terrifyingly clear. "We are the Xilians. Kneel before us, or face annihilation." The words echoed through the airwaves, repeating as the alien ships began to appear over Earth's cities. There was no mistaking the power in their message, no room for negotiation. Earth was about to face an unimaginable threat. High in orbit, the first of the alien ships made their entrance, a colossal fleet that seemed to stretch across the sky. Each ship was more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen, their dark, sleek hulls reflecting the light of the sun in eerie silence. They moved into Earth's orbit with terrifying precision, blocking out the stars with their massive size. The fleet's arrival was like a shadow cast across the planet, their guns already powering up, ready to unleash destruction. For a moment, the world was still, as if everyone were holding their breath, waiting for the next move. Governments scrambled, their leaders meeting in emergency sessions, trying to figure out what to do. Military commanders debated the best course of action, but there was no clear solution. The best defense humanity had were its strongest soldiers, but these invaders were clearly far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. Alien technology that could destroy entire cities with a single blow. They were outmatched, outclassed, and vulnerable. Panic swept through the streets. People looked to the skies in fear, hoping for some miracle. The world's most powerful nations had always been ready for war, but this was different. They had never faced an enemy like this before. The very survival of humanity seemed at stake. In every corner of the globe, leaders debated the ultimate decision. Should humanity kneel before the Xilians and hope for mercy, or should they fight, knowing they stood little chance of winning? A voice crackled through the global broadcast system once again, breaking the silence. "We are the Xilians. You have 1 hour to submit. If you choose to resist, your planet will be wiped from existence." The clock began ticking, a countdown that no one could ignore. 60 minutes. Humanity had 1 hour to make a decision that would define its future. Could they fight against such overwhelming odds, or would they have no choice but to submit to the invader's will? In the heart of the Earth's global military command center, the leaders gathered in urgency. It was the United Nations, but now it felt more like a courtroom, with Earth's fate hanging in the balance. The alien fleet hovered above, an unyielding presence that seemed to mock every attempt to organize a defense. "Do we submit? Do we surrender and beg for mercy?" One of the advisors asked, his voice shaking. "We've seen their ships. We've seen their weapons. If we fight, we will be wiped out." Another voice, steady and calm, spoke up. "We cannot surrender. We cannot kneel." It was a hard truth. There was a long silence before the decision was made. "We fight," said General Alden, the leader of the Earth's armed forces. "We fight with everything we have." The decision was final. There was no turning back now. At that moment, the world's military forces sprang into action. But no matter how quickly they moved, there was no way they could mount an immediate response to such an overwhelming force. The alien ships loomed large, and their weapons powered up. Humanity's weapons were nothing compared to what was coming. In the skies, the alien ships began to glow. Massive energy beams shot from the ships, casting flashes of bright light across the Earth's surface. These beams were not just weapons. They were a statement, a declaration of power. As the beams fired, they tore through buildings, decimating entire cities. Earth's defenses were overwhelmed in seconds. No shield, no missile, no technology could protect them from the brutal onslaught. It wasn't just Earth's cities that were at risk. As the alien fleet advanced, a deep, terrifying silence descended over the planet. Everything seemed to stop in the wake of the destruction. But amidst the chaos, one thing was clear. Earth was not going to surrender. The fight was just beginning. But humanity wasn't completely unprepared. Earth had something the aliens hadn't counted on. A force unlike any the aliens had ever faced. A team of genetically enhanced super soldiers, equipped with cutting-edge technology, and a will to survive that could not be broken. These soldiers had been trained for the impossible. They were Earth's last line of defense, and they would not let humanity fall without a fight. The camera zoomed in on their faces, their expressions hard and determined. These soldiers were the best humanity had to offer. Enhanced with powerful genetic modifications, their strength, speed, and intelligence far exceeded that of ordinary humans. They were outfitted with the latest in military technology, cloaking devices that could render them invisible to alien sensors, weapons capable of taking down the most advanced alien armor, and AI systems that predicted their enemies' moves before they could act. In the distance, the sky lit up with the explosion of an alien energy blast, leveling the city in a heartbeat. But the soldiers stood, unmoving, awaiting their orders. They were ready to face the unknown, to fight for survival against an enemy so powerful that even their leaders were beginning to lose hope. It was then that General Alden made the call. Deploy the super soldiers. Send them into the heart of the battle. The soldiers, each one a master of their craft, knew what they had to do. They were humanity's final hope. As they boarded their ships, their cloaking devices activated, turning them into shadows against the sky. Their mission was simple: infiltrate the alien command ship, disable their power systems, and, if possible, take down the leaders behind the invasion. This was a mission of desperation, but it was humanity's last chance. The countdown continued. 50 minutes left. The first wave of alien fire tore into the heart of New York, its famous skyline crumbling in seconds. And yet, the soldiers pressed forward, cloaked and hidden, ready for the battle ahead. As the final seconds of the countdown ticked away, Earth's last hope rested on the shoulders of these super soldiers. The fate of humanity, hanging by a thread, now rested in the hands of a few brave men and women who would stop at nothing to protect their planet. They were Earth's last defense. The world watched in horror as the alien fleet hovered over Earth, their ultimatum echoing through the planet's broadcast systems. Kneel before us, or face annihilation. Cities had already begun to crumble beneath the aliens' devastating weaponry, but humanity, against all odds, stood firm. In an emergency meeting held deep beneath the United Nations headquarters, Earth's leaders made their decision. There was no turning back. Despite the terrifying power of the invaders, humanity would not surrender. There was no question of kneeling. The leaders of Earth chose to resist, to fight for survival. They had no choice. The stakes were too high. General Alden, the commander of Earth's forces, stood tall as the decision was made. We will not bow to them. We will not allow Earth to fall. The words were simple, yet they carried the weight of humanity's hope. The fate of the entire human race rested on the next steps. Earth's elite soldiers were humanity's final line of defense. They had been trained for situations like this, though they had never imagined it would come to this. Enhanced with advanced genetic modifications, their strength, speed, and intelligence surpassed that of normal soldiers. Armed with futuristic technology, cloaking devices, and weapons capable of matching the alien forces, these soldiers were humanity's last hope. As the command center gave the green light, the soldiers prepared for their mission. They were to infiltrate the alien mothership, which loomed ominously in the sky. It was a bold, dangerous mission, but it was all they had. The soldiers were fully equipped with high-tech gear, cloaking devices that could make them invisible to alien sensors, advanced AI systems to predict the aliens' every move, and weapons capable of taking down even the toughest alien armor. The battle was not just about survival. It was personal. Many of the soldiers had lost family members in the alien attacks. Loved ones had been obliterated in the blink of an eye by the very invaders they now prepared to face. The grief was a driving force, fueling their determination to avenge their fallen and protect their future. As the soldiers boarded their spacecraft, the tension was palpable. The fate of humanity rested in their hands. The ships they piloted were fast, maneuverable, and equipped with the latest in cloaking technology. As the soldiers ascended into the skies, the alien ships loomed in the distance, massive and foreboding. It was an intimidating sight, but the soldiers did not flinch. The first step of their mission was to infiltrate the alien mothership. The soldiers approached it cautiously, their cloaking devices keeping them hidden from the enemy sensors. With every move, they were aware that the slightest mistake could lead to their destruction. The alien mothership was a fortress, designed to withstand attacks from the most advanced military forces. However, Earth's soldiers were not going to back down. Commander Bonner's team had infiltrated deep into the alien ship. They moved with silent precision, their cloaking devices rendering them invisible to the aliens' advanced detection systems. Every step was a calculated risk. Every corner could hide death. The soldiers knew that their mission wasn't just to survive. It was to deliver humanity's message. We won't go down without a fight. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of metallic footsteps echoing down the corridor. Alien soldiers, armed and dangerous, patrolled the ship's heart. The soldiers had to act fast. Bonner gave the signal, and his team swiftly unwrapped their weapons, preparing for the first deadly encounter. The alien guards didn't see them coming. With a series of sharp movements, the soldiers leaped from the shadows. They fought with incredible speed and precision, using their superior agility and advanced technology to outmaneuver their opponents. Every alien warrior was a formidable adversary, but the humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to avenge everything their world had lost. EMP grenades burst from the soldiers' hands, sending a pulse of energy into the corridors. Alien robots that had been patrolling the area froze mid-step, their circuits scrambled by the burst. In a flash, the humans had gained the upper hand. With incredible coordination, they turned the robots' own technology against them, dismantling their foes before they even had a chance to react. It was an overwhelming display of human ingenuity, showing that even in the face of superior technology, humanity's resourcefulness could hold its own. The alien warriors, though powerful, struggled to keep up with the humans' relentless tactics. The soldiers were like shadows, moving so fast and so quietly that they were almost invisible. They fought with cold efficiency, dispatching alien guards in hand-to-hand combat as if it were second nature. The high-tech weapons they wielded were devastating, disintegrating alien armor with ease. Each clash sent shockwaves through the air, and every victory made their resolve even stronger. Bonner, the leader of the team, fought with a focus that went beyond mere survival. Every alien he encountered reminded him of his fallen family members. Every punch he threw, every alien soldier he took down, was a silent tribute to them. His determination to win for them, to make them proud, was the driving force behind every move. But as the soldiers moved deeper into the alien ship, something unexpected happened. They stumbled upon something they had not anticipated: a massive AI core. It was unlike anything the soldiers had ever seen. This central core was responsible for the entire fleet's operation, controlling every movement, every strategy, and every tactical decision. The realization hit like a ton of bricks. The alien fleet wasn't just a collection of ships and warriors. It was an entire machine controlled by an intelligent system. Bonner stopped dead in his tracks, his heart racing. This discovery changed everything. The soldiers were no longer fighting just aliens. They were fighting a machine. The AI was the key to the entire invasion, the source of the aliens' power. If they could destroy it, they could cripple the entire fleet. But there was a catch. The moment they attacked the AI, the entire alien fleet would know. The element of surprise, which had been their greatest advantage, would be gone. The decision was monumental. Bonner had always believed that humanity's survival was worth any risk, but this was different. If they destroyed the AI, they could face the wrath of the entire fleet, an attack so overwhelming that it might wipe them out completely. However, if they didn't act now, the alien forces would continue their relentless assault on Earth. Bonner knew that every second they waited made Earth's position more perilous. As the weight of the decision settled on him, Bonner felt his resolve harden. He knew what he had to do. Without hesitation, he nodded to his team. "We take it down," he said, his voice firm and resolute. "We end this now." The soldiers quickly gathered around the AI core, their cloaking devices deactivated. They worked in perfect synchrony, setting explosives around the core. But as they did, the ship's alarm system blared to life, alerting the entire fleet of the intruders. It was only a matter of time before they would be discovered. The soldiers had only minutes before the entire ship would be on high alert. The countdown to detonation began. The soldiers braced themselves for the storm that was about to come. But even as they made their final preparations, the tension was unbearable. The first sign of trouble came when the ship's robotic defenses began to swarm toward them, faster than they had anticipated. Alien drones descended upon the soldiers, their metallic limbs moving with terrifying speed. They fired weapons that sent sizzling blasts through the air, each explosion threatening to turn the humans into nothing but ash. The soldiers fired back, their weapons lighting up the dark corridors with beams of energy. The battle was fierce, the sounds of gunfire and explosions echoing off the walls. But despite the overwhelming odds, the soldiers kept fighting, knowing that every moment they held their ground brought them closer to victory. The AI core was almost destroyed, but the price was steep. Bonner's heart raced as he saw his team taking hits. One soldier, O'Connor, fell as an alien drone pierced her chest with a plasma shot. She crumpled to the ground, a look of shock frozen on her face. Bonner's blood ran cold as he watched his comrade fall, but there was no time for mourning. The mission had to be completed. "Keep fighting," Bonner yelled, his voice filled with fury. He fired a powerful blast, disabling one of the attacking drones. The soldiers rallied, pushing forward despite the heavy resistance. Every step was a fight, but they were so close. Finally, the explosives planted around the AI core detonated with a deafening roar. The core shattered, sending shockwaves throughout the ship. The ship groaned, its systems beginning to fail as the central power source was obliterated. The alien fleet lost its cohesion, their once perfect strategy crumbling. But the victory came at a terrible price. The alien forces were far from defeated. The soldiers had succeeded in their mission, but the true battle had only just begun. They had struck the first blow, but the war for humanity's survival was far from over. The alien invaders were furious, and they would not go down without a fight. As Bonner and his remaining soldiers made their way back to the extraction point, he couldn't shake the feeling that this battle was only the beginning of something much larger. The fight for Earth had begun, and humanity would need to fight with everything they had to survive. The weight of the battle was beginning to take its toll. The mission that had started with such hope and determination had turned into a nightmare. Commander Bonner and his team had infiltrated the alien mothership, destroyed their central AI core, and struck a massive blow against the invaders. But now, as they watched the alien fleet begin to regroup, they realized that the true danger was only just beginning. It started with an eerie silence. The alien fleet had been crippled by the loss of their AI core, but something much worse was on its way. From deep within the alien empire came a new breed of invader, an advanced, nearly unstoppable force that would stop at nothing to crush humanity. These weren't just ordinary alien soldiers or robots. They were the elite of the empire, equipped with the latest AI technology and weaponry that far surpassed anything the humans had encountered before. As the new alien forces arrived in Earth's orbit, Bonner's heart sank. This new threat was unlike anything they had ever seen. The aliens' weapons were devastating. Energy pulses that ripped through the atmosphere, and ships that seemed almost impervious to the human weapons. Even the soldiers' advanced cloaking devices and high-tech weaponry weren't enough to withstand the assault. The odds were no longer just against them. They were insurmountable. The human team found themselves at a crossroads. They had two objectives. One, to rescue their comrades who had been captured during the earlier assault, and 2, to disable the alien fleet's eye control system once and for all. The first mission was personal. Many of their friends and fellow soldiers were now prisoners of the alien forces, held somewhere within the massive mothership. Saving them meant everything to the team. The second mission, however, was the key to ending the alien invasion once and for all. If they could take down the alien AI permanently, it would cripple the entire fleet, giving humanity a fighting chance. But the timing was critical, and the alien threat had grown much stronger. With the new enemy forces pushing forward, the team had no choice but to split into 2 groups. Bonner led one team toward the prison hold where their comrades were being kept, while the other group set out to sabotage the alien eye once again. It was a decision that carried heavy risks, but they had no other choice. The tension between the 2 groups was palpable. Everyone knew that the success of either mission was uncertain, and the possibility of failure was terrifying. The soldiers had already sacrificed so much, and now, with the enemy more powerful than ever, it felt as though the weight of the world rested on their shoulders. But Bonner and his team were not the type to give up. They had already proven that they could face the impossible and still come out on top. As Bonner and his squad moved through the corridors of the alien mothership, his mind was racing. They had made it this far, but there were no guarantees. The alien forces were closing in, and the fate of their captured comrades hung in the balance. They had to move fast. Then came the worst news possible. The second group, led by Captain Jennings, had encountered the new alien force. The battle had been fierce, and the new alien soldiers, equipped with next-generation AI and weapons, had overwhelmed them. The group was losing members, and Jennings had barely managed to transmit a distress signal before his team was cornered. The situation was becoming dire. Bonner's heart dropped as he heard the message. His best friend, Sergeant Corbin, was among the soldiers trapped. Bonner had known Corbin since the start of their military careers. They had been through countless battles together, and Corbin had been there when Bonner's own family had died. The bond they shared was unbreakable, and now it seemed that Bonner was about to lose him. Bonner's resolve hardened. He couldn't let Corbin die. He couldn't let any of them die. But with the alien forces becoming more advanced, and with the chances of survival growing slimmer by the minute, Bonner knew that time was running out. There was no room for mistakes. The team pressed on, moving quickly through the labyrinth of the alien ship. The corridors were dark, the air thick with tension. Every footstep could be their last. And then they found themselves facing the alien forces again, this time in a brutal, up-close combat situation. The aliens were everywhere, emerging from the shadows in waves, their robotic soldiers charging toward them with ruthless efficiency. The human soldiers fought back with everything they had, their advanced combat suits glowing in the dark as they fired their weapons and engaged in hand-to-hand combat. The scene was chaotic, filled with explosions and flashes of light as the 2 sides collided in a fury of violence. The humans fought with a fury born of desperation, knowing that their lives and the future of humanity depended on their success. Bonner led the charge, his fists pounding into the nearest alien warrior as his soldiers followed suit. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins as he fought with everything he had. But the new alien soldiers were something else. They were faster, stronger, and better equipped than anything the humans had faced before. Every step forward felt like a battle won, but the progress came at a cost. Then it happened. Bonner's worst fear had come true. As he fought through the wave of alien soldiers, he saw Corbin on the ground, surrounded by the enemy. His friend was struggling, but the alien forces were closing in, ready to end his life. Bonner's heart raced as he pushed forward, determined to save his friend. But just as he reached Corbin, a powerful energy blast hit him square in the chest. Bonner staggered back, the blast knocking the wind out of him. "Bonner," Corbin shouted, his voice strained. "Get out of here. You have to stop them." But Bonner couldn't leave him. He couldn't let his best friend die. The emotional weight of the situation was unbearable, but he knew he had to push on. With a final, defiant roar, Bonner fought through the pain and rushed to Corbin's side. He dragged his friend to safety, but not before Corbin looked at him one last time, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I'm sorry, Bonner," Corbin whispered, his voice barely audible. "No, don't say that," Bonner replied, but it was too late. Corbin's hand went limp in his grip, and his body fell still. The pain of losing his friend was a crushing blow, but it only fueled Bonner's desire for revenge. Corbin's death would not be in vain. Bonner rose to his feet, bloodied but unbroken. He looked at the alien forces surrounding him, and his mind burned with a singular thought. Humanity would not fall. Not today. Not while he still had breath in his body. With a final push, Bonner and his team fought their way to the heart of the alien command center. They were battered, bruised, and running out of time. But they were not done yet. The aliens had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they would pay for it. The battle was far from over, but with each passing moment, the soldiers fought with more determination. Their mission was clear. They would avenge the fallen and ensure humanity's survival, no matter what it took. The air was thick with tension. The battle had reached its peak, and the outcome was still uncertain. The super soldiers, weary from countless skirmishes, had come to one simple, terrifying conclusion. The only way to end the alien invasion was to strike at the heart of the enemy's power. The alien AI that had controlled the invaders' fleet was the key to everything. If they could destroy it, they would cripple the aliens and win the war. But the cost would be high, too high for some. Bonner and his team stood at the edge of the battlefield, staring down at the alien command center, a massive fortress buried deep within the alien mothership. The plan was simple, but the risks were enormous. They would have to infiltrate the command center, breach the walls, and disable the AI's mainframe. The alien fleet was vast, and its forces were more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. The soldiers knew that this would be their last chance. If they failed, Earth was doomed. Bonner turned to his team, his eyes filled with determination. They had fought together through the toughest battles, and now they were facing the ultimate test. The fate of the entire planet rested on their shoulders. He could feel the weight of that responsibility, but he wasn't afraid. He knew what had to be done. They were ready. The final assault began with a violent explosion. Orbital bombardments shook the very foundation of the alien fleet as massive projectiles rained down from the heavens, tearing apart enemy ships with terrifying precision. The sky above Earth was filled with the fiery remnants of the alien armada as the battle raged on. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of weapons fire as human and alien forces clashed in a cataclysmic struggle for survival. Inside the alien mothership, Bonner's team fought their way through wave after wave of alien soldiers. The corridors were dark, and the air was thick with the acrid stench of burning metal and ozone. The soldiers used every trick in the book, deploying cloaking devices to evade enemy detection, using EMP grenades to disable robotic sentries, and blasting their way through reinforced doors with high-powered plasma guns. It was chaos, but through it all, Bonner remained focused. The mission came first. They had no room for error. As the team pushed forward, they encountered more resistance than they had expected. The alien soldiers, though robotic, were relentless, programmed for one purpose: to protect the AI at all costs. The closer they got to the heart of the ship, the more intense the firefights became. But the humans were determined. They fought back with the same fury that had carried them through every battle. They would not let the aliens take Earth. They couldn't. Along the way, the team suffered losses. Sergeant Hayes, one of Bonner's most trusted soldiers, took a fatal shot while trying to disable an alien sentry. The team was shaken, but they didn't have time to mourn. There was no room for weakness. They pressed on, fighting through the corridors, knowing that every second counted. Finally, they reached the heart of the alien mothership. The command center was an enormous chamber, illuminated by strange alien technology. At the center of the room was the AI's mainframe, a massive glowing structure that pulsed with energy. It was the brain of the entire alien fleet, and without it, the invaders would be powerless. But the AI was heavily guarded. As the team approached the mainframe, a wave of alien soldiers appeared, blocking their path. The battle that followed was unlike anything the soldiers had faced before. The air crackled with energy as the humans fought tooth and nail to reach their target. The alien soldiers fought with a cold, mechanical precision, while the human soldiers fought with every ounce of strength they had left. There was no time to waste. Every second brought them closer to their goal, but also to their deaths. Bonner led the charge, his mind focused on the task at hand. He could feel the weight of the moment bearing down on him, but he wasn't going to back down. His team followed him, fighting fiercely to protect each other. They knew what was at stake. They had already lost so much. Now, they had one final chance to win. With a final push, they reached the AI's mainframe. Bonner's heart pounded in his chest as he moved to plant the explosive device that would disable the alien technology once and for all. But as he did, something unexpected happened. The mainframe activated, and the room was flooded with a bright, blinding light. The alien AI was aware of their presence. It had been waiting for them. For a brief moment, Bonner hesitated. The AI's voice filled the room, cold and calculating, telling them they were too late. It spoke of the invaders' inevitable victory, of the human race's extinction. It mocked them for thinking they could defeat an empire that had been centuries in the making. The AI was too powerful, too advanced. There was no hope. But Bonner didn't flinch. He knew that the AI was just a machine. It could be destroyed. And so, with a grim expression on his face, he activated the device. The explosion was deafening. The shockwave of the blast ripped through the ship, causing the entire mothership to shudder violently. Alien technology short-circuited, and the massive AI core exploded, sending a pulse of energy throughout the fleet. The alien ships, now without a command structure, began to spiral out of control. Their weapons malfunctioned, and their coordination disintegrated. The humans had done it. They had crippled the alien fleet. But victory came at a cost. As the explosion rocked the ship, Bonner was thrown to the ground, his body slamming into the cold metal floor. He could feel the blood dripping from his wounds as he struggled to stay conscious. The mission had been successful, but he knew he didn't have much time. His vision blurred, and the world around him began to fade. He could hear his team shouting, but their voices seemed distant. Bonner's thoughts turned to his comrades, those who had fought and died alongside him. He thought of Corbin, Sergeant Hayes, and all the others who had given their lives to make this victory possible. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. They had saved humanity. Bonner's breathing became shallow as he closed his eyes. He had given everything for this moment, and now he could rest knowing that the human race had a future. The aliens were defeated. The Earth was safe. With the last of his strength, Bonner whispered a final word. "We did it." And then the darkness took him. The explosion in space had shattered the alien fleet, and humanity's last stand had ended in triumph. The soldiers who survived made their way back to Earth, battered but unbroken. They had saved the planet, and though the cost had been high, the human spirit had proven itself stronger than any invader. The aliens had underestimated them, and now they would learn that humanity was not to be trifled with. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's resilience, and it would never forget. The Earth had been saved. The alien invasion that had once seemed unstoppable had been repelled. The aliens, with their powerful fleet and advanced technology, were no longer a threat. Humanity had emerged victorious, but it had come at a great cost. The battle was over, but the scars remained, both on the Earth and in the hearts of those who had fought to protect it. As the surviving soldiers made their way back to Earth, they were met with the adoration of the people. They were hailed as heroes, their names etched into the history books, their bravery celebrated in every corner of the planet. The world rejoiced, thankful that their homes, their families, their very way of life had been spared. But the soldiers knew better. They knew the price of victory. The journey back to Earth was a silent one. The soldiers sat in the ship, the weight of their actions pressing down on them. They had fought for survival, but in doing so, they had lost so much. The faces of their fallen comrades, those who had given their lives for the mission, haunted them. Hayes, Corbin, and the others were gone. Their sacrifices had made this victory possible, but the emptiness left behind was undeniable. They had been family. They had fought side by side. And now, they were no longer there. The battle had been brutal. The explosions, the gunfights, the hand-to-hand combat, everything had led up to this moment. But in the aftermath, there was no real celebration. The soldiers had done what they needed to do, but it didn't feel like a win. It felt like survival. They had survived, but at what cost? As the soldiers returned to Earth, they were honored with ceremonies and parades. The world looked to them as heroes, and they deserved every bit of recognition. But deep inside, they knew something the rest of the world didn't. The battle may have been won, but the war was far from over. The world had changed. The sky above was still filled with the remnants of the alien fleet, the burning husks of destroyed ships drifting slowly through space. The battle had left scars on the planet, both physical and emotional. The land was littered with the debris of war, and many cities were still recovering from the alien bombardments. It was clear that humanity's victory had come at a cost that would take years, perhaps decades, to heal. The surviving soldiers, though celebrated, could not forget what they had lost. They were heroes, yes, but they were also victims of the war. They had seen too much, done too much, and they couldn't escape the memories of the battles they had fought. The empty spaces where their comrades had once stood were a constant reminder that victory had a price. As they stood together, looking out over the ruins of the battle, a message came through. It was from the alien commander. His voice was cold, devoid of any emotion, but it carried a weight that sent chills down the spines of the soldiers. "You may have won this battle," the commander said, "but we are not the only ones. There are others, and they are coming." The words hung in the air, a dark promise that the fight was far from over. The soldiers exchanged looks, the realization settling in that Earth's resistance had not gone unnoticed. The galaxy would know what had happened here, and other alien races, those even more powerful and dangerous, would come to test humanity's resolve. The commander's message was a warning, a reminder that the war was not finished. It was only just beginning. For a moment, the soldiers stood in silence, the weight of the message sinking in. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. They had fought to protect Earth, but now they would have to fight again. The future was uncertain, and there were no guarantees that humanity would survive the next wave of invaders. But they couldn't back down. They had already proven that Earth was not an easy target. They had fought against overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. They had made their stand, and they would do it again. The Earth may have been scared, but it was still standing tall. The human spirit had proven its strength, and now the survivors knew they had to prepare for the next fight. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's resilience, and the message was clear: humanity would not bow down. They had shown that they were willing to fight for their survival, and they would continue to do so, no matter the cost. As the soldiers looked up at the sky, they knew the fight was not over. The stars above them were no longer just distant points of light. They were reminders that there was more to come. More enemies, more challenges, and more battles. But humanity was ready. They had fought for their future, and they would do it again. Earth had survived this invasion, but the question remained: could they survive the next one? The surviving soldiers, though battered and broken, stood together. They had been through hell, and they knew there would be more to come. But they were ready. They would stand united, just as they had before. and when the next wave of invaders came, they would fight once more. As the soldiers looked to the stars, their resolve hardened. Earth had shown its strength, and now, humanity's fight for survival would continue. The aliens had underestimated them, but they would not make that mistake again. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's defiance, and the survivors knew that they had a duty to protect their world. The battle was over for now, but the war was far from finished. The surviving soldiers had earned their place in history, but they knew their greatest challenge was yet to come. With the alien commander's final message echoing in their minds, they prepared for the unknown. The stars above held countless dangers, and humanity's place among them was still uncertain. But one thing was clear: they would never surrender. They had fought for Earth, and they would continue to fight. The galaxy had better be ready, because humanity was just getting started.